Hello friends, my name is Nick, and at the time of me posting this, the Philadelphia Flower Show of 2022 is going on in full force at FDR Park in South Philadelphia. Or perhaps I should say in full bloom, because that's the theme of this year's flower show. And I love the flower show. I've been going every year for many years. I consider it a must-do as an indoor gardener and a Philadelphian. If you have the means of checking it out, I highly recommend it. It is a world-renowned show. And you might hear flower show and think, that's for florists, that's for outdoor gardeners. But indoor gardening has taken over the Philadelphia Flower Show by storm the last couple of years. So there are three main parts of the Philadelphia Flower Show. Right when you walk in, there's like the main knock your socks off displays that are all just made with plants and flowers and just floral elements. You can see some videos I've done over on TikTok and Instagram, as well as some story highlights I have from years past, as well as videos I have from years past. Unfortunately, I did not get a video this year for YouTube, only for Instagram and TikTok, just because it was so busy and copyrighted music was keeping me from doing so. But I do have some old videos that only have a couple of views if you'd like to check them out from way back when. Definitely a couple of years ago. I'm sure the quality is not that great, but if you would like to get an idea of what to expect at the show. So there's the main overview, like I was saying, there's the displays and stuff, but then if you move to another area of the show, there is the competition section, which people typically involved in horticultural societies will submit their houseplants to be adjudicated by judges, and it's really nice to just walk through the whole tent and see all the different houseplants. There are usually some really nice varieties. I always add a couple houseplants to my wish list. I've added a couple this year, I will admit. So that is admittedly my favorite part of the flower show, and would probably be your favorite part too as an indoor gardener. And last but not least, they have a bunch of booths where you can do shopping, where a lot of purveyors will sell things, and as you can imagine, there's a lot of people selling houseplants. So I do have, like I said, some videos over on my TikTok and Instagram of just a little smattering of what you might see in all the different areas of the Philadelphia Flower Show. But today, we're going to go over my haul from the Philadelphia Flower Show. Of course, I bought a couple of plants. I know I'm on a restriction because I just don't have a lot of room, but how can you go to the Philadelphia Flower Show and not buy any plants? But I have a couple of spaces here and there. I was able to bring home a couple of small house plants that will fit in my grow light shelves and stuff, where I just have a couple of open spaces, okay? So these will fill the void there and in my heart. So the first one that I brought home was this Peperomia Metallica. Now, I've tried growing these on a couple different occasions successfully. No, as you could imagine. I don't find it to be the easiest peperomia. It's definitely more of a terrarium variety, but I have hope. I felt this urge a couple of months ago. It's like, you know what? I would like to try growing Peperomia Metallica, because the foliage, it's admittedly nothing spectacular to somebody who's just getting their feet wet with indoor gardening. I don't think they're going to see this plant and be like, wow, I have to bring that home. They might in fact think it's kind of ugly, dare I say, because the foliage is kind of brownish and not the most showy. But as somebody, I feel like I'm crap talking this plant, but you know I love it, so don't listen to me. But it's so beautiful. The little silver band that's bright green as well that it gets on the inside, with that dark green that's almost blackish brown foliage with that red coloration that it gets on the back. Also, this was a super chunky one. This was in this little 2-inch pot. I believe this is from the PHS booth at the flower show, which is where I did most of my shopping. Well, that's not true. I did some of my shopping there, but that's the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, who is, of course, involved or in charge of the Philadelphia Flower Show. It's the main people who do it. And their booth there is the main place where it's the largest booth that you're going to find gardening related products. And one of my favorite purveyors, Gary with the blue tags, I'm sure you've heard me talk about him in videos past. He sells a lot of plants at the PHS booth. So both of the plants that I got at the PHS booth are from Gary. I just purchased them from a PHS booth, so just so you understand. Although you never purchase plants directly from Gary. You purchase them from houseplant stores that buy from Gary, so that makes total sense. I'm just giving you the nitty-gritty. But I really just wanted to try this out. I thought it'd be adorable. I have plenty of spaces where I can put this tiny ass peperomia, plenty of little grow light shelves that have, I'm looking at one right now that has like a couple gaps in it where this can go. It's just been hanging out on my counter, as when I bring houseplants home, I always just place them on my counter. I leave them in their plastic nursery pot. I never repot things right away. I will always leave a houseplant for at minimum a week, but I was gonna say 2 weeks, but I'm like, if I get a Sansevieria or a ZZ plant, I'm not gonna wait that long to repot it because it doesn't care. But peperomias care. Peperomias need to wait. I always say leave your peperomias inside their plastic nursery planter as long as you possibly can. This one might not be in here that long. It might be like a month because it's really starting to topple over. You can see I have it like inside this planter here, and I literally have like a piece of crumpled up paper holding it in place. But it looks great. I love it. Like I said, people might not be obsessed with this plant at first sight, but once you get interested in peperomias, I think this is really neat. Also, there's a bunch of different varieties of Peperomia Metallica. There's like skinnier leaves, there's more long leaves ones. This is, I think, the Colombian variety. Maybe they're all from Colombia. I don't know. It's just the Peperomia Metallica though, okay? And I also got this peperomia, which I totally forget the name. I will put it on screen. So Gary sells these incorrectly as turboensis. We gotta let him know. I don't have his number, but this is not turboensis. This is something dragon. I'll put it on screen, like I said. But I love the foliage on this. I had a smaller one. I talked about it recently in a video of like plants I'm obsessed with right now. But that one, I noticed it had like a couple thrips on the back of the leaves. Not Gary's fault, 100% me. Gary does nothing wrong. Gary only does good. But I've seen these from other purveyors, like the City Planter booth, which City Planter is one of my favorite houseplant stores here in Philadelphia, and they have a booth at the flower show. They had this plant, but it was from a different grower, and it looked a little different, and I admittedly like Gary's because they're just so dark. And did I overpay for this? It was $22. Maybe a little bit. But it's just so cute. I was like, I will pay $22 for that. It's a good enough deal. Also, things are just always a couple dollars more when they're at the Philadelphia Flower Show. You could imagine. It's like if you're at a theme park and things cost more. You get what I'm saying? But what also really stuck out to me is the blooms on this. They literally look like they're punching you in the face. Isn't that crazy? Or it's like those like ogre ear jade if it was a flower. It's just so cool. But this is really full. I only had that one little plant before, if you recall, if you've seen it in the video, and this has 3 large established plants in here. So I will probably pour some systemic powder in here to keep thrips at bay, if this is apparently a plant that might be a thrips magnet, because it's just too gorgeous. I love peperomia. This is a newer peperomia on the market. Is it what I purchased it as? No, but I knew it wasn't a turboensis, unlike the first time I purchased it, and I just thought it was some kind of weird variety of turboensis, but that is just apparently not the case. So peperomia, something, dragon something, I don't know, but it's just too gorgeous. I can't pass it up. Although I'm really not familiar with this peperomia. Like, this could just be like not a good peperomia to grow inside. Like, it could be like a more terrarium variety, or like, let's put it this way. Maybe there was a reason why this peperomia has not shown up on the market until recently. Like Peperomia obtusifolia. Easy peperomia to grow. Been on the market for how many years? I couldn't tell you because it's just been a staple in the market. This one, maybe there's a reason why it's new. I always think that. And you gotta keep that in mind too, because if your plants are dying and you're only purchasing weird out there plants, maybe that's why. And the next 2 plants I got from a different store. They are located in Philadelphia. I believe their store name was Proper Goods. I think they're located in like Fishtown or Kensington. Don't quote me on that. But they had some really beautiful air plants. So turn off the video right now if you don't like air plants, because I only have air plants for the rest of the video. But this is a Tillandsia xerographica. It's a baby! I've seen like super baby ones, and this is like a step up from baby. And it was $12. Xerographicas are expensive. It's like Tillandsia, xerographica, and tectorum. I don't know why. Ridiculously expensive air plants. When I used to purchase them wholesale, like this would practically cost $12 wholesale back when I was a buyer. So the fact that she was selling these for $12, I was like, I would be stupid not to bring one home. Plus, these live years. Like when you see those like giant xerographicas at houseplant stores, Do you know how old they are? Neither do I. That's because they're freaking old. They are not just a couple years old. Those have been growing for a while, or I don't know how they're doing it, if they're pumping out plants that big, that quickly. It's beyond me. It's science, but this is just so beautiful. I tried growing this once before, and I killed it because I gave it too little light, but I've learned a lot from my Tillandsia tectorum, which, amazing Tillandsia. If you don't like air plants, try tectorum and your mind will change. But this is an air plant that grows in a more dry environment and in brighter light. So these leaves are like not dark green, and they're very, very like covered in those crystals. So this is an air plant that's going to really appreciate really, really bright light. So I'm literally just like placing this on the ledge inside my window, just like in there, soaking up the light. I will probably just pull it out, pull it off, and then just throw it in the shower with like my mounted plants. That's usually when I'll just like throw my air plants in for a second, or I'll just take them all and give them a good spray with a spray bottle or something like that. I don't usually dunk them to soak them. You can, but I've never really had good luck with that. But I know many of you have had good luck with it. That's just my own experience. But, it's so beautiful. I was like thinking about making some kind of mount for it, but I'm like, this is an air plant that doesn't really need a mount. It's just, it has enough character on its own. Like, so cool, the way it just curls all over. And I could have this for years, as long as I take care of it. But honestly, I feel so confident. That tectorum really gave me some confidence. And last but not least, so this is a Tillandsia butzii. I love the name. I literally just purchased this because I have that air plant mount. I believe I featured it in my video last week. That's like that literal stick glued to a piece of cork. And I just stick air plants in it. And when I first made it, I had 3 plants in it. But one of those air plants quickly died, and I just never replaced it. So I was like, this is so different than the other 2 air plants that are in there that it'll really stand out. And also just like the way, I was looking for something to come off the left side of it, which I'm holding it to my left here. I don't know how this works out on the camera. But anyway, so it just looks so good just like with this poking off the one side, and then the 2 more standard looking air plants are on the other side. So I'm just really obsessed with it. It's a total vibe. I love the like, I want to say variegation that it has. I have no idea if the camera's in focus or not, but it has a lot of character for an air plant. And there's just a few air plants that have this kind of more enigmatic foliage that you'll see if you go into your local houseplant stores. So not a wild out there houseplant. This is definitely a more inexpensive air plant, but I just really like it, okay? And if it dies, that's fine. But I feel way more confident about the xerographica. I know the xerographica is not going to die, but if this dies in a couple of months, if I do not do it justice that it deserves, it's okay, because it was like $5, so it's totally fine. But that's going to do it for today's video. So just to recap, the 2 air plants I got, like I said, the butzii and the xerographica, my 2 air plants from the Proper Goods booth. And I also have the Peperomia Dragon and the Peperomia Metallica Colombiana. I don't know. I slightly regret not purchasing some plants from the city planter booth because they had so many. Also, the Wedgwood Gardens booth had some really good plants. I had a little like mini plant shopping, like what's available, like plant shopping at the Philadelphia Flower Show, a video that I did on TikTok. So you can check that out if you're curious and you want to see like more of the selection that was there, and some more of like what Gary's plants were available. You will definitely see the blue tags that I'm talking about in that video. So check it out if you're willing. I would really appreciate it. But on that note, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Philly Foliage. Subscribe to my Patreon for even more houseplant content. Subscribe to my channel, of course, and I will see you guys in my next video. Have a great time.